Though it often seems to be forgotten and in the shadow of its ghost town counterpart, Kolmanskop, Elizabeth Bay was another diamond mining town that we explored whilst in Namibia back in February of 2019. In today's video, the second in my ghost town series, we visit what remains. So prior to visiting the area, we did a little investigation and found that the tours here can only be done with a guide who must pre-arrange permits for you to enter the site. So we got in touch with the team at Namib Off-Road Excursions, who are the only permitted guides in this region, and purchased their half-day tour with a driver, with permits, a 4x4 and a lunch. This trip was not cheap though, £198 to be precise, so we're expecting it to be decent and informative. Hello and welcome to Elizabeth Bay in Namibia. So Namibia is a country that's been on my list for some time photographically, not just since I've been into shooting architecture and abandoned buildings, but also since kind of back in when I was travelling sort of 10 years ago. Namibia was something that I was interested in. We are actually here on the west coast, and we've got there's 3 ghost towns, but we've only got enough in our budget for the 2, and we'll probably come back to another one another year, you never know. So this is the second one. Like I say, Kolmanskop just up the road is the first one we visited yesterday, and today we're here at Elizabeth Bay. So I'm here shooting for basically half the day. We've got a sort of full day shoot. Again, harsh sunlight, and excuse my sunburn, as you see, really hot yesterday, even with sun creams. Just doesn't seem to cut the mustard. But here I am shooting. I found this cool little composition down on the bay actually, where the houses, you see them here, are sort of lined up across, and then you've got the sea in the distance. Looks really cool, so it's the first shot that I'm actually going to undertake here. Interesting composition, not one that I thought I'd find, but it drew my eye in as soon as we were walking into the actual place. So I'm going to take that shot first, give it a go. Do you like my neck scarf, by the way? This is covering up my neck, which is really sunburned. So yeah, we're sort of here a little bit longer, and I'm going to try and find some cool shots, and I'll pop them up into the video. I'll try and explain what I'm doing on the way.
Ready for me? Oh my, you ready? Ready or not, we going, and I can't stop. Are you ready? Ready for me? Oh my.
Elizabeth Bay Ghost Town is situated right on the Atlantic Ocean, some 25 kilometres south of Luderitz. The area once boasted a huge amount of diamonds, as they were washed up by the sea from the Orange River mouth further south. The bay operation has seen 3 main phases of mining. The section that we visited was the first. The mine was originally built in 1911 but halted during World War I and restarted sometime around 1915. However, it was only operational for around 25 years, closing in 1948 as the attention moved closer to that river mouth. There were additional interruptions in mining operations during the Great Depression and World War II before the mine was finally closed. This is despite some conflicting information on Wikipedia, which seems to confuse this older mine with the newer construction that happened nearby in the 1990s and continues to this day, albeit in a limited format. As a result of the volume of diamonds in the region, German miners flooded the town and built their own miniature Germany here at Elizabeth Bay. A large entertainment hall including a casino was built in the area which overlooked the ocean. The town also housed machinery for desalting ocean water, so that the town had a supply of fresh water, as well as housing for the workers, or as it was back then, slaves. Once I'd finished shooting the old houses, I walked down to the former casino, one of the more popular shots here at Elizabeth Bay. I took 2 compositions, straight on and at a slight angle. The challenge here was the harsh middle of the day light. But I think in some ways the blue really pops against the sand, despite it not being ideal. But it was at this point the guide moaned at me about walking away from him, suggesting that I should have requested photography as the reason that I wanted to come here, which of course I had. It put me out of my swagger for the rest of the day. I put the film camera away in some sort of strop, hence my limited footage. Okay, so overall the tour was not that amazing. When you consider the travel time to get to and from Elizabeth Bay site as well, factor that in and your shoot time is effectively 2.5 hours. You know, it can take an hour to pick out a couple of shots. So, but although I got a few nice shots, I'd say they're more in the documentary style than they are certainly going to hang on anyone's wall anytime soon. So that was disappointing. And certainly I wish I spent the money now in looking back on something else, maybe like a scenic flight over the very tasty looking shipwreck coast. That would be good. The guide was kind of pulled in last minute, and that meant that somebody else stepped in, I think, and that didn't lead to the greatest of experiences. You know, he got our lunch out of like the glove box and said, oh, I've got some sardines and some biscuits, and it didn't feel that great. So that was disappointing, especially when you consider it was £200, you know, for a couple of people to go for half a day. I'd say for photography purposes the area is quite unique, interesting more than anything else. I mean, there's a lot of old mines there, there's old houses, structures, this kind of thing, and if you had the time and the budget, I'd say this is a fantastic place to go for some unique shots. Not loads of people tend to go to Elizabeth Bay when you've got Coleman's up the road as a tourist attraction. The other thing to bear in mind is the wind. The time of year we went, the wind was extremely strong, so shooting at this sort of early in the morning, for instance, that would really help take the sting out of those energetic winds. See you next time when we start exploring Kayakoy in Turkey. Bye bye for now. So if you've enjoyed this video, why don't you go ahead and share it with a friend, hit subscribe and that bell notification button, and maybe just tickle that like button. I know you want to.